On tonight's episode of the Jack Hammer Show, is Jimmy Garoppolo one of the 5 worst quarterbacks in 49ers history? We'll discuss that next. Hello, everybody. This is Jack Hammer of the Santa Rosa Press Democrat, and with me tonight is Rich Keltz from the Keltz Chronicle here on YouTube. How you doing tonight, Rich?
I'm doing well, man. I appreciate you for bringing me on. I'm excited, blessed. Yeah, man. I'm super blessed. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. It's Wednesday night. It means it's downhill for the rest of the week from here, and I'm looking forward to talking to you. I know we've chatted a little bit back and forth in the comment section on Twitter and stuff like that, but I'm looking forward to really kind of digging in and getting a little bit of an idea of your thoughts on the 49ers as they head into 2022. And we're getting into the offseason now with free agency a couple of weeks underway. Things have been a little bit slow for the 49ers here and there, but the owners meeting going down out in Florida on Monday and Tuesday, and so we got some new information there that we can dissect. And I teased at the beginning of the show, we're not going to quite get into the 5 worst quarterbacks in 49ers history quite yet, but we're going to talk a little bit about Jimmy Garoppolo, who, depending on which day you're looking at 49ers Twitter, you might think he's in that category. What are your thoughts on where the 49ers stand currently with Jimmy Garoppolo? Do you feel like they're playing this right? Do you feel like he's going to be on the team when they hit training camp? There's lots of things to talk about. So let's start with, do you feel like they're playing this right with Garoppolo, keeping him on the team instead of just releasing him?
Absolutely. I feel like they're playing it right. Like, of course, I've had some frustrations about it, like all the fans, and I'm sure the 49ers are frustrated about the surgery. Just everything just the whole entire process of it has been frustrating. I'm sure for everybody, probably Garoppolo too, the fans, management, Garoppolo. Um, you know, hey, it's kind of like, what did we expect, the 49ers to come out and say, with like I said, the injury for sure was a big, huge thing. And I don't think you really want to just like give them up. Like I've said numerous times, hey, just cut them. And, that's just me thinking really fast on it. But, after I chill out and really look at it with a clear lens, you want to be able to get something for him. And I feel like they definitely have a plan on what they want to do with him. And then I feel like at the same time, they're never going to, they're playing chess as they should. They should never just come out and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. It's like, you want to play chess. So I appreciate them, being, saying he's a good quarterback. And then at the same time saying, hey, Trey Lance, they didn't come out and exactly say it, but hey, Trey Lance is our guy. That's why we invested in him. That's why we picked him up. There possibly could be a quarterback competition, but I don't see it happening. I have my predictions and stuff like that, but yeah, that's how I see it so far, my man.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I do. It's a little frustrating. I can understand the frustration from the fans' perspective in terms of wanting to just move on, get a fresh start, get a clean start, have that draft, that cap, that salary cap space, so that you can maybe sign a player or two, because during the free agency, that's always exciting when your team goes out and gets new players, and that unknown of a new player sometimes can revitalize a fan base, but that doesn't necessarily play out on the field when the team hits the field all the time. So I can understand the direction that they're going. Might not totally agree with it, but I don't completely disagree with it either. I don't believe that Jimmy Garoppolo will be here in training camp. I think that he's going to be gone before then. So it'll be definitely something to watch, but I think he's going to be gone before they hit training camp. I just have a feeling there's a trade partner out there that's brewing, and it'll come up by the time training camp starts. They're just waiting to get that shoulder looked at and make sure that it's all ready. And it's hard to trade for a quarterback when his job is to throw the ball, and well, he can't do that right now. So I think that's holding them back a little bit there.
Yeah, you definitely want to see whoever you're going to invest in. You want to see after a surgery, you want to see him be able to, produce, and you want to see it. You definitely want to see that for sure. If I was gonna, that's like trying to buy a car without test driving it, So, I mean, yeah,
That's right. You want to you don't see very often where people go out and just jump in a car and drive it off the lot without taking it for a test drive here or there, right?
yeah,
Um,
nah,
and that doesn't usually work out so well. So it makes sense that that teams are holding off. It hurts the 49ers a little bit with their free agency moves, regardless of what we've heard from Lynch and Shanahan. They've tried to spin it as if that they're still able to work through things, but it's pretty clear that there is um, some impact here. I think John Lynch even stated that that they had to it made things a little tougher for them during free agency.
for sure, man, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, I made one prediction. I believe it was probably a month, maybe a month and a half ago. Um, I was like, hey, let me dive into it a little bit. Let me see if I can have fun with this and make a prediction. Let me give my one guess. I'm going to give one guess and let me stick with it. So, I was subscribed to a Carolina Panther YouTube channel, clicked on it, and the first thing that popped up was Jimmy Garoppolo. I was like, man, I kind of had a feeling about Carolina, and so I remember last year one of my first ever YouTube videos was 49. I said something along the lines like shoot the shot about going to get Trey Lance. But I made a quick little video saying, hey, Adam Peters isn't visiting Carolina, for a job. He's visiting for a trade up in the draft. 49ers shoot the shot. And when I started combining everything a good month and a half ago, I hopped on Rob Shue's call-in show and was like, hey, man, I got this crazy theory. Garoppolo, if I have to make a guess, he's going to Carolina. They already talked about it a year ago. It might sound far-fetched, but hey, that's been my guess from the get-go. And hey, it's looking after, a month and a half later, it's kind of dwindled down to that could be the only possibility.
Yeah, it does. It does. And then real quick, as you're talking, uh, got a little note over here in the comment section. Also got it on Twitter. I noticed it as well. But I don't know if you've seen this yet, but out in Tampa Bay, Bruce Arians is out as head coach. He's going to be moving into the front office, and Todd Bowles will be moving into the head coaching position. Bowles has been a head coach in the past. This is just breaking news in the last few minutes. Any thoughts on Bruce Arians moving to the front office in Tampa Bay and stepping down as head coach?
Hopefully that just creates some more confusion for them, to just be something better for the 49ers. You never want to see the opposition level up. Hopefully this isn't them leveling up, I guess, Bruce and Tom have, butted heads from what is speculated throughout, their time together. So, it feels like Tom Brady is probably going to win most situations.
Yeah, and that's kind of the direction I was going to go. Is that I think this might be a little bit of Brady pulling the strings. Maybe that whole report about Brady and Arians having a little bit of a problem with button heads last year had a little bit to do with it. And the other piece of this too is yeah, Arians steps out of the head coaching role, Bowles into it, but there's really no changes at the coordinator positions. Bowles is defense coordinator. He'll still be probably the defensive coordinator. The offensive coordinator stays the same as well. So I think it might be a pretty smooth transition for Tampa Bay. It might not be as helpful for the 49ers as we'd hope.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably a plus, to be honest, but
Yeah,
is what
well,
it is.
yeah. Anytime you have a head coach step down like that, it's especially at this point of the season, it could maybe send some waves through the organization. But I think the fact that they have all their coordinators there there are two coordinators there that help them win the championship. I think that helps them out a little bit. Um, Jumping off of Jimmy Garoppolo and this breaking news that we have here on Bruce Arians, what are your thoughts on what's happening around Trey Lance. They didn't come out and they didn't come out and nobody came out and said Trey Lance is going to be our starting quarterback this season. Um, that's one thing. Let's start with that question. Kind of, what are your thoughts around them not coming out with a decisive uh, response to any of the questions on the quarterback spot?
I mean, for me personally, it's frustrating. I kind of look at it two ways. Like sometimes negativity can be fuel to really motivate, and then sometimes just being decisive and just having a really solid foundation in the direction you're going can also be motivating. So personally, it's frustrating for sure. You want to, but then at the same time, I look at it like how would I say? It's just you never want to show your cards. It's like, I think they have it figured out. It's just all of us that really don't know. You never want to show all your cards. You want to play chess, you want to play poker. Me personally, I don't, that's not how I handle business, but with the way that they have handled business so far, they're staying consistent. It feels like Kyle Shanahan is always never giving out too much information, but then at the same time, he's doing what he's supposed to do. Hey, Garoppolo's a good quarterback. Trey is ready to start. I'm not going to name him the starter, but he's ready. And he's saying all the right things. One thing I'm super appreciative of, and I think these things matter, is the communication with Trey Lance and Kyle Shanahan. It's been kind of thrown around that Jimmy and Shanahan don't talk too much. I think that matters. I think when you um are just in good communications, I think every inch matters. Just like on the field, I feel like every inch off the field matters, whether it be communication, similarities, same mindsets, just all those kind of things. So, at first I was super frustrated, taking a step back. I'm like, hey, I feel like they're doing every single thing that they should be doing. We could complain and grope and do all these things, but hey, man, that they're playing it smart, regardless of how we could negatively look at it for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's okay. I mean, I never expected them to come out and say that Trey Lance is going to be the starter, and you know Kyle Shanahan spoke about that yesterday when asked about it. He said, he never even came out and officially named Jimmy Garoppolo the starting quarterback this last year. So I don't think that's necessarily going to change. It doesn't mean that we're not going to ask the question in the press conferences with them, but I don't think it's something that needs to be said to the media necessarily. Like he said, I mean, it would be great for us to know so that we could write an article about it. It'd be great for the fans to know so they don't have to worry about it. But I can guarantee you that the people inside of the building know who the starter is going to be.
Yeah.
That's a totally different situation there, and so I don't have a problem with him not coming out and just saying that it's going to be Trey Lance, and Ekim says in the comment section, announcing Lance as a definite starter that eliminates any possibility for Garoppolo to have any trade value. You've got to make it feel like there's going to be a competition. Um, our team's smart enough to figure that out on their own? Yeah, I think so. But at the same time, you don't just need to come out and just say it. It doesn't do any good for the 49ers to come out and just put that out there right now. The team knows.
Hey, and then even if they did come out and just boldly say it and claim it, I mean, we're in March, right? It's like anything can happen from March to September or August, anything can happen. Nothing is promised. So it's like, even if they told us everything we want to hear, it's like, it's kind of like, hey, what does that really matter? It's like, that's just the way I see it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And then real quick, just a couple of the folks over here I want to shout out. Moses, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. I think I must have made you mad during the season or something, but it's good to have you back. Says, what's up? Finally the DB disciple has come back to the Jack Hammer show. That's kind of like, let me do that right. Let me do that right. Finally, the DB disciple has come back to the Jack Hammer show. Right? That's how it's done, right? That's how The Rock did it.
Ah.
There, there you go. Anyway, yeah, I'm a little goofy sometimes with these, but
I
yeah,
love it.
no,
I love it.
I think it's good. And then in terms of Lance, what are some expectations maybe that you have of him going into 2022?
Oh man, I have high expectations, regardless of the noise of, hey, what do you expect from him? Regardless of, hey, expect a whole bunch of bumps. I feel like
Mhm.
he's so smart, he's so brilliant, he catches on so quick. I believe he's going to get some touch under his passes. He's going to start utilizing when to throw it, 30% compared to 90%. I think he's one of those guys. Like the first time I ever spoke on him on the cone phone was, there's certain guys who are just obsessed with getting better. And I feel like he's one of those guys. So I have all the confidence in the world. I think I did a little over under on one of my shows, kind of playing around with it. I think I said something along the line of, I wouldn't be surprised to see 28 touchdowns through the air, eight,
Mhm.
possibly 6 to 8 on the ground. Um, I feel like he's going to be able to avoid sacks. I feel like he's going to make the offensive line look better. I feel like he's going to throw the ball away when he needs to and not make some of those mistakes that you would see from a rookie. I feel like he's not going to just be throwing it to the linebacker once or twice a game and sometimes close to 3 or 4 times that could be drops. I feel
Mhm.
like there's a lot put on. Hey, he's got a wobbly pass. I think Joe Montana had a wobbly pass when he first started out. So,
What?
there's a lot of
Joe Montana did not have a wobbly pass. That was a no.
a
I'm kidding.
little hey, I seen a lot. Hey, some of the games I seen, I was like, hey man, I try to go back and watch as much as I can. And I was like, hey, those things were wobbling the first few years. And it feels like more and more. Oh, it got perfect. It did, but um
No, I'm just giving you a hard time, man.
Uh, nah, I feel you, man. Now I expect to see a lot, man. I feel like if we were as close as we were to winning a Super Bowl with what we've seen out of the quarterback production, I definitely feel like Trey Lance is going to be an upgrade. Um, you know, I would not be surprised to see, us be right back in the same area. There's a lot that goes into a season. So it's like I said, nothing's promised. You never know with injuries and stuff like that. But I think there's no ceiling. I feel like, sky's not even the limit for him. I feel like, it's going to be beautiful, man.
Yeah, and I think that Juan hit it on the nail here. When you're talking about Joe Montana having a wobbly ball, I think it's just because of the, like you said, it's just them old fuzzy TV graphics. They didn't have a
Hey,
high def back in 1978 or 79 and 80. So of course that ball looked like it was wobbling. You couldn't tell. It looked like a little brick probably flying through the air.
yeah,
Nah.
no.
No, I do agree with you though. Like when you're saying that you could see him throwing for 28 touchdown passes, I could see that. I could see better numbers than what we saw from Jimmy Garoppolo, obviously this year. He only had 20, and um, I could see him putting up those numbers. And I do agree with you. There's going to be some bumps in the road. It's not going to be completely a smooth ride with Trey Lance. There's going to be some ups and downs. Probably, within games, you're going to see ups and downs. Like we saw ups and downs with Jimmy Garoppolo. There's usually ups and downs with every quarterback to some extent. You know, in game, from game to game, and so on and so forth. So I think you'll see that with Lance. But I think I agree with you that it's going to be an upgrade at the quarterback position. You're going to have a guy who can move, and even though he doesn't want to move, but he can move. He can throw the ball down the field a little bit more. He's definitely has the arm to get the ball down there. We saw that in Week 17. So I'm excited to see what Trey Lance brings to the table. For me, all he needs to do to make the move so far, in year one, positive is 10 wins or more. Less than 12 interceptions if he can do that, and 20 more than 20 touchdown passes. Do better than Jimmy Garoppolo. That's all I ask. Because if he can do that, then this team, I think, takes another step forward. Because uh, between Garoppolo and Lance being a rookie last year, they're held back a little bit at times. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Lance can do. And you had kind of mentioned, the great expectations that are put on Trey Lance, and that kind of brings us to the topic that I put out there originally, which was the great expectations that were put on Aaron Banks and Jalen Moore by Kyle Shanahan during the media session yesterday, talking about how he feels very comfortable with Aaron Banks taking over at guard, and that they almost made that move last year, and that there's a possibility for Jalen Moore as well. Let's just start with Aaron Banks. What are your thoughts there?
I think, I feel like they were like a package together. I feel like Aaron Banks, Jalen Moore, and Trey Lance were all a piece of each other. Was like I feel like they were all going to be put on ice. I feel like we all, the organization knew this is Jimmy Garoppolo's last run, you know. And so from the information that I've gathered, it seems like Aaron Banks and Jalen Moore, but Aaron Banks is a better pass protector. And with that being said, that should bode well for Trey Lance. Trey Lance to get some of those deeper shots, breaking out of the pocket, because there's going to be a lot of, broken plays where he's going to be creating some stuff. So you want a guy that's better at pass protection like Aaron Banks and Jalen Moore. So I feel like, they were just put on ice. I feel like all three of them could have started last year together. And I feel like, he's a big dude, I feel like it's a little harder for quarterbacks and offensive linemen to just hit the ground running. So I think it was perfect for them to take a year to just let everything slow down on and off the field, just even living situations, just taking a whole year to mature. So I'm excited about Banks. I'm excited. I believe he was a second rounder, so I mean he's 6'5", 325 pounds. He was a first team All-American in 2020. So I think he's going to produce. I think, we live in a world where it's like, hey, I want to see it right now, instant. I want to see it right now, or I'm going to have doubt. But I feel like, man, it's time to get excited, 49er faithful, because I believe a lot of guys who did not produce last year is going to produce this coming up year, starting with Aaron Banks.
Yeah, and I'm with you when it comes to Aaron Banks. This is the guy who I looked at quite a bit last year after the draft, after he was taken by the 49ers. I thought that he was going to fit in well with them. He didn't really seem like a guy that was going to be – he seemed like a guy that was going to fit in well with Trey Lance. So the fact that Trey Lance didn't play a whole lot last year kind of makes sense that Aaron Banks didn't play last year. I saw someone earlier today, I saw a piece where they said that the 49ers – took Aaron Banks and redshirted him for a year, and because that's what good organizations do. And I do agree with that. I think that that's a piece that they were able to get ahead of it a little bit, because they could see that at left guard they were going to probably not have Laken Tomlinson for the long term. They don't have a long term solution at right guard either. Daniel Brunskill's he's only going to be back on a 1-year deal. So they went out, they got a guy a year early, and it's funny because I agree with it, and I also agree with. I think it's funny. The reason I say I think it's funny is because you could say the same exact thing about the quarterback position that everybody's been screaming about since last year, about that they made the right move with Trey Lance, not putting him out there week one as a starter and letting him kind of marinate on the roster and be around the NFL and learn everything and go through an 18-week season. There's 17 games, but it's an 18-week season. These guys don't go through that often, and Shanahan talked about that a little bit yesterday as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Aaron Banks does. I really liked him coming out in the draft, and more. We saw him a little bit last year. He did an okay job in his couple of starts.
Hey, and then he's going to be next to Trent Williams. So I'm sure that's going to, you're playing next to somebody like that. Not only what Trent can do, but just learning from him, just being next to a warrior silverback like that, it should help out. Definitely.
Yeah, no, it definitely should. That's one of the benefits of being over on that left side is you have Trent Williams there next to you, Alex Mack in the middle helping you out over on their side. It's not quite as solid if Mike McGlinchey's not there. People get on McGlinchey, but he was actually having a pretty good season last year when he went down. So
he did look better. I can give him that because I've been pretty hard on McGlinchey in the past. So,
Yeah. I know a lot of people have, and I have too at times. So it was good to see that. And then also sticking with the offensive line theme, Alex Mack coming back. That's the word. They think that he's going to be coming back. Nothing definite, but I guess he's out in Ireland getting married right now. My invitation must have got lost in the mail, but it
Hey,
sounds like
same
he's coming back.
same here, man. Hey, I'm just grateful to get an invitation on your show, Jack. You know, he gets a bad rap sometimes, but I look at it like, hey, wasn't he an alternate Pro Bowler last year? I know someone went down and he kind of got there that way, but he's one of the most experienced dudes under Kyle Shanahan. That's a plus. He's a veteran. You definitely want a veteran, man, to be the center on your team to diagnose there's nothing that he hasn't seen. You want that presence, even if he does limit a little bit physically for his age or whatever. You want that kind of a mind to be able to diagnose what's going, what's going on with the linebackers, what he could anticipate to someone like an Aaron Banks, to
Mhm.
someone like a Jalen Moore. So I feel like it's the perfect combination so far with veterans, rookies, Alex Mack. On top of it, man, that's my son's initials, MACK. So I want to make sure to try to still get one of his jerseys for my son because yeah, man, he's a straight up Mac. So I'm appreciative of him, man. I'm glad he's coming back. And man, I think he just gets, I don't know, I think fans just get a little uneasy and just, they want every player to be an all pro, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think Mac played pretty good throughout most of the season. He had a little bit of I was hard on him in the beginning. He had a little bit of a rough start to the year. He really got eaten up against Green Bay, really twice. Both times they played Green Bay, the interior of the offensive line struggled. But I think you got to take your hat off a little bit there too, because Green Bay has some really good defensive linemen in the interior there. Would that make that job hard on the Flyers offensive linemen to move them? So that kind of makes sense. But I'm looking forward. I think Mac. For me, I think Mac will be back, and I think that if they go out and get a center in this year's draft, it's the perfect situation for them. Again, get them in, let them work behind Mac, let them learn from him, and kind of see how a long-term veteran plays and more practices and that whole process of getting prepared. And I think that works out best for the 49ers in the long run if they go the direction of an Alex center to replace him for next year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then real quick, before we jump over the next topic, Moses, the DB man, he asked, when we talking DB's my specialty. We'll talk about him soon, not tonight, but we'll talk about him soon. I don't know if you saw Jalen Petrie from Baylor. He had his pro day today. He laid down a pretty quick 40 time, 4.44. A lot of fours in that one. 40 yards, 4.44 seconds. So pretty good time from him. I think and the 49ers were out in Waco for that pro day today as well. So that could be one of your answers at safety for the 49ers this year. There you go. There is your DB talk for the night, Moses.
Marcus Jones.
Yes, Marcus Jones also from Houston is a name that's high among many 49er fans right now, and it makes sense because they don't have a guy in the slot that's been around and maybe
that's Marcus Jones is my Trey Lance of this year. Last year, some people like to say I was the first guy on Trey Lance. I'm sure there was a ton of guys behind me, but Marcus Jones feels like that same kind of guy this year for me, where it's like, I think a young guy, Benjamin Camperman, I seen him a while back, mention him. And soon as I heard the way he spoke about him, he was so juiced up about him. I checked him out and I fell in love with the dude instantly. Was like, yeah, this guy's going to be special right here. So I hope we could get him for sure.
Yeah, no, that would be good because Jones is a really good player. I know a lot of people get really excited about about his return ability, which makes it, maybe that's where I know they got the Ray McLeod guy, but receiver slash wide back, small version of a wide back, and so on, and a return man as well. But maybe you go the route of Marcus Jones, who doesn't have the history of putting the ball on the turf. At least gets another spot to put some competition. Let's put it that way.
He plays much bigger than 5'8". I know that.
He does from the little bit of film and stuff that I've seen on him. He definitely does play bigger than 5'8". He gets in guys' faces and can get up and move, and he's really good. Just sticking over. We're going to stay on the defense. We're going to slip since we're talking DBs. Let's stay on the defense and let's talk about The man and one of the guys who the Friends are really going to count on, I think, on that defensive line this year. They're putting a lot of hope and prayers on the Javon Kinlaw being able to come in and finally be the guy that they thought he was going to be when they took him in the top of the draft in 2020. What are your thoughts on Javon Kinlaw and what do you think you can get from him?
Oh man, I've been high on Javon Kinlaw. Last year I made three little bold predictions before the season started. Was Trey Lance was going to be, uh, was going to take us to a Super Bowl. Elijah Mitchell was going to play a key role, and Javon Kinlaw was going to have a monster season. Maybe I was a year ahead of it. It didn't pan out last year, but I feel like it's the same thing this coming up year. I feel like Javon Kinlaw is going to have, a breakout season, from, I guess, the SF Niners. I believe his name is Brad. He did an interview with Kinlaw, and he
Mm.
seemed he seemed like his knee has never felt like that in his life. So I mean, I'm super excited. If he could stay healthy, man, he is a beast of a man. I mean, 6'5", 320, and it's not baby fat. That man is stacked. That man, he's a strong beast of a man. So if his knees hold up, and if it is what he says it is, and if it really is truly healed, then I expect big things. I expect him to produce better than DJ Jones. To be honest, I think that could be an upgrade. DJ was awesome, not taking nothing away. I believe he had like 10 tackles for a loss for us. He was just amazing, man. It was sad to see him go, to be honest, but I feel like Kinlaw, he's a barbarian. He is the squirrel nugget king, which that was pretty hilarious. He likes his squirrel nuggets done right. So man, I love it, man. I'm excited for him for sure, man. I prayers to you, Kinlaw, to stay healthy, man. Real talk.
Yeah, the thing here is that there's a lot of people that are worried about the loss of DJ Jones, and I would just tell him to slow down just a little bit because all Javon Kinlaw needs to do is play 550 snaps, and he's going to have play just as many snaps as DJ Jones did last season. And it's funny you mentioned uh, the numbers that you feel like Javon Kinlaw can match what DJ Jones did, or maybe be a little bit higher. And if you go back and you compare their seasons in 2020 and 2021. In 2020, Kinlaw played 547 snaps. Last year, DJ Jones played 550. I'm pretty sure I'm right on those numbers. If not, I'm pretty close. Uh, but Jones last season had 6 total pressures. If you go by what Pro Football Reference, the way that they do their pressures, they combine um, quarterback hits, sacks, and what they call hurries uh, into that total, and there were 6. Javon Kinlaw had 10 in his rookie season, even though, and it's funny when you go back and you look at it, because I remember I was ripping on Javon Kinlaw quite a bit in 2020 for the lack of sacks and production. He only had the 1.5 sacks all coming in the one game. There wasn't a whole lot of it from him that year. But if he can come in and fill that role, like you're saying you expect, I think that the interior of this 49er defensive line can be better than they were last year.
I feel the same way, man, for sure. Yeah, it's still one of our biggest strengths, regardless of who we lost. So
Yeah, it's a good group. They've added Hassan Ridgeway, who is a pretty good interior pass rusher out in Philly. Um, I think we're going to see Charles Amenahu slide into the role that was vacated by Arden Key, moving off and going to Jacksonville. That was announced today. So I think that we're going to see. It's going to be a group that's going to have to do it, but again, like I said, I think we're going to see that group be a little bit better this year against the pass, and they're going to need it because they're going up against an AFC West group outside of their conference this year that's going to be putting the ball up in the air quite a bit based off the quarterbacks over there.
and we still have Samson Ibukum as well, right?
Yeah, I would expect. Yeah, I would
Yep.
expect the starting lineup to be Bosa, uh, Ebicom, Eric Armstead, and probably Javon Kinlaw. That would be the 4 that I'd pencil in as my starting 4. We'll see what they decide to do with Armstead because they keep wanting to put him out there on the edge, but I'm not sure if that's the best spot for him. I think he's better when he plays on the interior.
Yeah, that's exactly how I have it written up is Bosa, Kinlaw, Armstead, Ibukum. And then And then, we got Omenahi, Kerry Hyder, Hassan Ridgeway, Jordan Willis, and Givens. I mean, hey man, we got depth for sure.
Yeah.
It's hopefully we see like last year where it feels like every single one of those dudes stepped up halfway through the season tremendously. So, I think we'll continue to see that for sure.
Same here. Same here. And then just kind of moving off of that topic, but the Brian Greasy deal, the 49ers hired Brian Greasy. He's never been a coach anywhere before. Kyle Shanahan had some high praise for him yesterday with the basically saying that he feels like he's the smartest quarterback that he's ever been around, or maybe even the smartest player he's ever been around. He likes the way that he prepares, and he's glad to have that Trey's going to have him to work with. What is your take on Brian Greasy as the quarterbacks coach in San Francisco?
Oh man, I absolutely love it to the fullest. And here's just some of the reasons why. I mean, when you have a father, who was Bob Greasy, who, I believe if that's right, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure, who played on an undefeated team, the 1972 Dolphins. I mean, that's already in your blood. You've already been a kid and you've already witnessed being with, a Super Bowl winning quarterback on the only undefeated team in NFL history, to win it all. I know the Patriots almost got it done. Good stuff, New York, because I was rooting for you like I always root for the underdog if it's not the Niners. But man, to Bob Greasy, it's like, man, he's won a Super Bowl. He was a backup to John Elway, but he won a Super Bowl with the Broncos, so he knows what that is like.
Mm-hmm.
He won a national championship with Michigan, I believe. So
Yep.
it's like he's always been around championship football his whole entire life. He whether it's his father, college, the pros. And then you know what? I did a little digging today, and I found a little connection between him and Trey Lance. Um, at a young age, at 12 years old, rest in heaven. His mom passed away due to cancer, and he started an organization in Denver for um, just kids that go through things like that. And then later on in life, he also helped open up a children's hospital, which brought me to a little bit of a connection with Trey Lance. One of the things Trey Lance used to do before coming to the Niners, he probably still does, but he frequently visits children's hospitals. He has just been a leader in that kind of a way. And when you have a common denominator on people who kind of just have that kind of spirit and heart, I think it is super, super underrated and it matters. If I'm working with a person that got the exact same mindset and spirit as I do, I think it's going to just help you just rise up to different levels. So he's got the Super Bowl pedigree. His dad, Bob Greasy, the connection with the Broncos, which John Lynch has had the connection with the Broncos. Anthony Lynn has had the connection with the Broncos. They're all Super Bowl winners one time or another. So I think it's beautiful, man. I think, I think there's going to be elements of Brian Greasy for Trey Lance. I feel like it's almost better in a reverse psychology way to not bring in someone who knows how to run away, who knows how to be athletic with his feet, because one of the accomplishments of Brian Greasy as well was I think he was the completions leader one year. I think there was a year where he led the NFL in completion percentage. So those are the things you want to see Trey Lance be good at, is completion percentage. So I think it's perfect, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm looking. I think it's a good one. For me, when I go back to this one, I listen. I go back to what Steve Young said right after the 49ers got eliminated against the Rams, basically saying that uh, the 49ers needed to find somebody around Trey who's been there that can take him into, show him how it's done. Really, show him how to prepare, show him how to get in the film room and talk about him and show him what works, what doesn't work, and really kind of help him grow. He was talking about that more from a backup quarterback standpoint, but I can see with what Shanahan was talking yesterday, it really sounded like Steve Young. The way that what he was talking about was just somebody that can get in there and has been there, he's
Yep.
done it, knows what it's like to lose a game on a bad interception or so forth, and so on. So I think it's a good move for the 49ers, and like you said, he has history here his dad was an NFL quarterback. He played under Mike Shanahan out in Denver. Won that Super Bowl, like you said. He was on the bench behind John Elway. You had mentioned to me before we went on the air there were some other coaches as well that have Super Bowl pedigrees that are joining the 49ers this year. Did you want to go through that for me?
Man, absolutely, man. Yeah, man. And the more I dig on certain stuff, there's more and more connections. You look at I believe his name is Brian Schneider, our special teams coach. He has a connection with Nick Sorensen, where they both won a Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks. So they have a little common bond. One of them is a assistant defensive coach, Nick Sorensen, and then you have the special teams and Brian Snyder. So they have a familiar bond. Winning a Super Bowl together. And then you have the Anthony Lynn and Brian Greasy, who won a Super Bowl together with Mike Shanahan. They were both a part of that Bronco team, back in the day. And then you have there's a guy, I believe his name is James Craig, if I said his last name right. I'm pretty sure he won a Super Bowl with Denver in 2000, I think 15, and that was under Gary Kubiak. So it just feels like, in a weird way, all five of these new guys that we brought in who got Super Bowl rings, it feels like the 49ers are not playing around. This is the year where they want to bring in just true men, just leaders of men. It's like, if you go through, that's one of the best things you could, out of all sports, to win a Super Bowl is probably one of the most special things you could do. And to bring in that many guys who have witnessed or been a part of what it takes to win a Super Bowl, I feel like
Mhm.
that's a underrated factor, that is purposeful. That is, the 49ers are bringing in leaders of men, and all these guys know what it takes, and all of them are connected in some kind of way, one way or another. So I think it's amazing, man.
Yeah, that is pretty good, and Shanahan does a really good job of bringing in guys that he has familiarity with that have been around for a while, um, in various roles. I know, like this year in particular, he has, for example, the new tight ends coach is a guy who spent most of his career on the defensive side of the ball, but now he's over there on the offensive side, and that's kind of an interesting switch. And uh, the different moves that they've made to build this coaching staff and roster out, I think is there's a lot of interesting things that are going on there, and it's going to be fun watching how that group comes together, just like the team, because Shanahan talked about that a little bit yesterday too. The extra time that he's having to put in to make sure everybody on the coaching staff kind of gets acquainted with each other and gets on the same page with the amount of turnover they've had this year.
Hey, and then, like, to the points I just made, a lot of these guys are already very familiar with each other. So I mean, it just feels like they did. And I try to research as hard as I could, and I might have, I wasn't able to find out exactly, but I'm almost 100% sure. Um, those five guys I mentioned have 6 Super Bowl rings. And I believe everybody they replaced didn't have any. So I just feel like that's humongous. And then you could even tie in John Lynch. He was on the Broncos once upon a time, and he's a Super Bowl winner with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, hey, let's get one for the players. Let's get one for Shanahan. It's their turn for sure.
Well. Since we're talking about the quarterback coach and the coaching staff, since we're talking mostly about Brian Greasy here, that's changing. Let's keep it on the quarterback, but we're not going to talk about the good quarterbacks. We're going to bring up the worst quarterbacks in 49ers history. Tease that at the beginning of the show. Is Jimmy Garoppolo one of the 5 worst quarterbacks in 49ers history? I have a hard time saying that he is, since he went to the Super Bowl. I understand that he got some help from the defense and running game along the way, but still got him there. Who would be one of the names among your worst, or if you already have all 5, who would they be?
I was just gonna rock out to your beat real quick. Now, hey man, I cannot, when and I like to look back at these things to help me be grateful for, just to be grateful for what we got, man. So when I go back and look at these things, some people are like, "Oh man, don't remind me." I don't want to ever think about that. I love to go back and think about some of those moments in a reverse psychology way just for the fun of it, man. But Jim Drunkenmiller was one of those guys. I believe I was probably like maybe 13, 14 around that time, maybe a little bit older, maybe 15, 16, something like that. But it was horrible. It was a horrible stain in my mind coming from Steve Young. And then, we kind of had this little feeling, could it be Elvis Gerback? I think he might have took the Joe Montana route and went to the Chiefs, if I remember right. And then here comes Jim Drunkenmiller, and I already didn't like his last name. Just didn't even sound legit. And Steve Mariucci's kind of like, hey, he could be the guy to, you know, uh, be the successor to Joe Montana. And none of it felt right from the get-go. There was a little bit of hopefulness for him, but it was just horrible. Um, yeah, man, Jim Drunkenmiller was one of my worst in my memory. The 26th overall pick. I believe he played, I don't know how many seasons he played, but it just wasn't good.
I think he was here for two,
Yeah,
maybe three.
it it was kind of ugly all the way around, man. He didn't do too much, didn't play too much. I think he might have even had some issues. Uh, I'm trying to remember. It's been so long, but
Well,
there might.
the good part about Druckenmiller was that when he was at Virginia Tech, he was able to pull a car across the football field. That was the big claim to fame. He was so strong that he could pull a car across the football field in their like strength competitions that they would have out at Virginia Tech during his
See,
time there.
he was playing the wrong position. He should have been a tight end, man, right there.
There you go. And I'm gonna go with Giovanni Carmazzi. Bill Walsh's draft pick. He's the one that chose Carmazzi, and he thought he was going to be the quarterback of the future.
Yep.
I think he got blown out of the league after 2 years. I think he went up to Canada, tried up there, didn't work out. As of 2011, he was back in Northern California, working as a farmer. He was a yoga practitioner and an owner of 5 goats. So there's Giovanni Carmazzi as of 2011, his update on where he was 11 years
And
ago.
and just to make it a little bit worse for you, man, that was the same draft of Tom Brady. So, man, hey, look, even Bill Walsh couldn't hit on every draft to all the people, being upset about John Lynch.
Yeah, there you go. And I will give Bill Walsh a little bit of a break because if the 49ers had listened to him, he wouldn't have made the Giovanni Carmazzi mistake because he already would have had Jake the Snake Plummer from Arizona State because that's who he wanted the 49ers to draft back in 90. I think it was 97 when they took
God,
Druckenmiller.
you just
Right around
brought
that
back
time.
you just brought memories back because I loved him too. I wanted the same thing, man. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jake the Snake, and then real quick before we get to our next one, Blind Tom, thank you very much for the donation. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for checking in. You're always so gracious with that. So we got Druckenmiller, we got Carmazzi. I don't think we can go much further without throwing in Cody Pickett.
Yeah.
Cody Pickett has to be in there as well, for sure. And there's another. Give me another name real quick, and I'm gonna look up the other one that definitely needs to fall into this category because there's one more, and I'm blanking on his name, but I have it right here.
Ken Dorsey. Ken Dorsey was one. He didn't really, I think he was looked at, or Chris Wanke too, man. Chris Wanke. I think he did. I believe he won in college. He won a national championship. I think. And then, he was supposed to be looked at like, he could possibly do something. And I think we had him for a very short time too. I think he came in at the end of one of our seasons, just through our whole ugly stretch of a good decade there in the early 2000s. It was after Jeff Garcia, man. We could just run off the names, the Ken Dorseys, the JT O'Sullivan. Hey, I was really, really rooting for that guy, man. It's like I feel like I would root for single one of these guys so hard, man. And I just thank God. I thank God we're out of those days, man.
Well, the good part about JT O'Sullivan, he wasn't a very good quarterback, but he's a good YouTube film breakdowner, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, he is.
I do have to throw this one other name out there. I do have to. I'm sorry, but I believe he might have even been drafted in the same draft as Druckenmiller. He was a seventh round pick of the 49ers, quarterback out of Louisiana by the name of Tim Rattay. I think you need to
Oh
include
yeah.
Tim Rattay just a little bit. Tim
Oh
Rattay
yeah.
holds the record for the fewest passing yards in a season. In 2000, he threw for -4 yards. He had one completion. He had a perfect completion percentage, though he was 1 of 1 for -4 yards. His only completion of the only pass he threw, he completed it to Fred Beasley for a loss of 4 yards.
Man, that Alfred number 40, yeah, I forgot about him as well, I believe. Yep,
Yeah, yeah,
fullback. Yep,
yeah. He was 40, number 40. I'm pretty sure he
yep,
was out of Auburn. I'm pretty sure War Eagle.
yep.
I'm pretty
Man,
sure that
poor
one.
poor Tim Rattay, man. That's a yeah, that's a record you do not want to have, yeah, -4. Holy cow. Hey, you taught me something today, Jack, for sure.
All right, now let's stay on some fun stuff now because we did that, and I know we wanted to kind of wrap up on some trivia. So we're going to wrap up with uh, a few trivia questions here. All these trivia questions are going to revolve around catching the football for the 49ers. So everybody ready to go? And here's the other part for everybody. They're multiple choice. So you don't have to, you can, if you're not quite sure, listen to the options. Let me know which one is. And Keltz, you can play along too. Who ranks second in 49ers history in career playoff receiving yards? So who ranks second in 49ers history in career playoff receiving yards? A. John Taylor, B. Roger Craig, C. Brent Jones, or D. Gene Washington? Again, who ranks second in 49ers history in career playoff receiving yards? John Taylor, Roger Craig, Brent Jones, or Gene Washington? Mean Gene.
Dun, dun, na, 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 na.
So
Yeah, man. At my immediate guess, I'm almost giving the audience a chance before, trying to motivate them on mine. But John Taylor instantly is, you know, he was one of my favorite, man. A quick little story about John Taylor. I believe I was 8 years old. Um, I used to collect cards when I was a kid, trade them at school and stuff. But we were playing the Eagles, and I believe it was 48-8. And I'm a little 8-year-old boy holding on to my John Taylor card. I'm praying. I'm holding the card, just like, I don't know, man. Some people like to say I'm super optimistic, but I was way more. Man, I was really trying to willpower my spirit to victory, even at 48-8. It didn't happen. We got stomped out. I think I stopped praying so hard during games after that. I think it taught me to just, hey, chill out. Holding the card isn't going to make it better. Yeah, man, that's a bad memory, but I do remember that. I love John Taylor. He was one of my favorite, just as an underdog. I love if it's not, I don't know, just something about underdogs. I love him. So just because he was behind Rice, I loved him even more.
yeah, no, definitely. I was a big fan of John Taylor as well. I will say really quick as we go through the answers, we have Sacktown Izzy goes with Craig, so does Andrew Hawks. Jason Bull goes to John Taylor. E. Kim, he's throwing out multiple names, I think, over here because he's just trying to be right. He's got Brent Jones, and well, I think maybe he's just talking about John Taylor as being criminally underrated in 49ers history. I do agree with that as well. The correct answer to the player, I think E. Kim cheated on this one because I don't think anybody's going to get this one right unless they look it up. But the answer is C, Brent Jones. So E. Kim got it right. So Brent Jones is second in 49ers playoff history in uh, receiving yards for a career. So
Lord, man. Hey,
the answer
Brent,
was Brent.
go Brent Jones, man. He's one of the guys who's not talked about enough. I feel like him and Tim McDonald aren't talked about enough in 49er history.
Yeah, well, and then John E. Kim says John Taylor's a truck driver now, just wanted a quiet life away from the game. Yeah, and what's funny is when when he scored the touchdown against the Bengals to win the Super Bowl. If you go back and watch that highlight, they talk about it, and then in the post play as they're talking about it, they talk about how John Taylor, who sells cars for Reggie Jackson in the off season, makes the play to win the Super Bowl. So he works for Mr. October, and he gets the game winner here for the 49ers or something along those lines. But at that time he was a car salesman for Reggie Jackson when he was playing with the 49ers, at least in 1988.
Yeah, that man. What did he do? 3 consecutive home runs on 3 first pitches, and yeah, beautiful, man.
Yeah, somewhere along those lines, that's for sure. That's just because of the time. Let's go to this one real quick. Which of these players never finished second in receiving yards behind Jerry Rice in multiple seasons? So again, which of these players never finished second in receiving yards behind Jerry Rice in multiple seasons? Roger Craig, Terrell Owens, Dwight Clark, or John Taylor? Again, Craig, Owens, Clark, or Taylor never finished second in receiving yards behind Jerry Rice in multiple seasons. Who would it be?
Dwight Clark. Good old the catch.
Good old DC. Look at that. Sacktown DC got it.
DC.
Andrew got it. And you got it too. That's right. It is Dwight Clark. I think the thing here is that he played with him in 85 and 86. I think that was it. They might have played together in 87 as well. I don't remember the last year they played together, but in 85, Clark, I don't even think was I don't believe that Rice was even the leading receiver that year. And then in 87, I don't think Clark was the second leading receiver on the 49ers. I'd have to go back and double check that, but that's the answer that I got there. The question there, Harold, was which player never finished second in receiving yards behind Rice multiple times. So this is the last one. Where do we want to go on this one? We're going to stay over in this one, but we're going to go. Here we go. Jerry Rice. This is an easy one, guys. This is a true or false. It's about Jerry Rice. So everybody should have this one right. Jerry Rice might not have gone over 1,000 yards receiving as a rookie in 1985, but he did catch 50 passes. True or false? Again, Jerry Rice might not have gone over 1,000 yards receiving as a rookie in 1985, but he did catch 50 passes. True or false? You guys should know this one a little bit, especially after the argument back and forth regarding Deebo Samuel and how I feel like he could be the next great receiver over the weekend.
I would want to say true and would feel dumb if I'm wrong, but
you got a 50-50 guess, guys. I'm not going to tell you who's right or wrong.
Rookie season, man, I should know this, man.
Jerry Rice's rookie season didn't go over 1,000 yards, but he did have more than 50 catches.
I would say true. Or wait, hold on. So you're saying no matter so it's a fact he didn't have 1,000 yards his rookie season, but
he was under 1,000 yards.
Okay,
his rookie year.
But did he
have? He did have over 50 catches.
Oh yeah, true.
The answer to that is false. He was under 50. I believe it was 49. Deebo Samuel broke his record. I set the record in. I think the record actually might be held by Gene Washington, but Deebo Samuel had 50 something. He surpassed Jerry Rice his rookie season, and he actually had the second most receiving yards as a 49er rookie. Deebo Samuel did back in 2019. So not too bad there for Deebo, working his way up the ladder. They just need to get somebody else to run the ball so that guy can play wide receiver all year long.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely, for sure.
He was putting up the numbers last year, especially in the first half of the season, and then his targets went away and his numbers went down. So, did you have any shows coming up this week, Rich?
I haven't got really consistent on when I do what I do, how I do it, but I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to connect with some guys like you to just get consistent on just collaborating with certain people. And, I do have a show on Friday that I'm going to be doing with Bay Area Baller. He's always been he's been one of my biggest, one of my biggest supporters, since I started, and I've been wanting to, do a show with him. So we're finally gonna do that. He's definitely gonna bring some fire type energy as he always does. So I can't wait for that, man. I appreciate being on your show, man. I've always kind of looked up to you. I used to, watch your breakdowns and all those kind of things. And when I first started, I was like, oh man, this guy Jackhammer's super, just probably important. He brings a lot of good information. This man is close to the team. So, just you even hitting me up, man, I felt like a little kid in a candy shop. Like, oh man, that's what's up, man. He reached out, man. I get to do a show with one of the main guys that I appreciate. So, man, so thank you, bro. I'm just a passionate fan. I love to, just dissect and have fun and stay positive. And unless it's a situation that truly needs to be changed, I'm gonna go. Then the negative side will come out of me. That was one of my main missions last year. Was hey, draft Trey Lance. We need a franchise quarterback. Some of us have been spoiled with Joe Montana and Steve Young, and I still hold it close to my heart. And you start going 2 decades, 28 years without a Super Bowl, 0-2 our last Super Bowls. My fire started to burn a little bit more. I was like, all right, man, I might be a little nervous about this on live thing, but I'm gonna start a YouTube channel and I'm gonna speak my heart for sure.
Yeah, no, and that's great. That's I'd seen you in the comment section. I knew you had a channel yourself, and uh, just trying to find different people to collaborate on here. I do have a pretty set group of guys that I work with, Monday through Friday, but the Wednesday slot is one that I kind of have left open to have rotating guests and trying to broaden the people that I speak to. There's an old thought that's out there that you kind of become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That's something that I've heard quite a bit. My girlfriend likes to remind me of that at times, just about different things for her as well. And to come on here and get different opinions other than just the same folks, the guys that I have on a regular basis are great, but it's fun to come on here and get some different opinions. And I was excited to get a chance to chat with you tonight. It's a lot of fun. And look at your background. I mean, your background compared to my background, can we switch that? Cause yours looks a lot cooler than mine.
Man, hey, you know what? I was almost kind of like, I'm one of those guys. I think I don't know. I just pay attention to the slightest details, and I'm always trying to get better at stuff, whatever it is, man. I love to modify things, create things. If I'm going to talk about something, I want to know everything about it. I just really try to do my homework. And I was like, man, should I take some of my stuff down? like to kind of match up, to match up, hey, but nah, man, I appreciate it. I put in a lot of time and work on everything I do, man, whether it be being a 49er fan, a man of faith, a father of 4 kids and 2 dogs and a wife, man, so I try hard at everything I do. Absolutely, man. So, and I appreciate you for appreciating it, man,
Yeah.
especially that Jerry Rice saying right there, man. I don't know if you guys have heard that one from Jerry Rice, but it's a good one for sure.
I just realized right now that you have Trey Lance over your right shoulder there.
Yeah, man, I got Trey, I got the 1994 49ers because that's just, that's one of those. I was 8 years old. I remember it like just so clear though. It was one of my happiest moments as a kid, 1994, how we dominated, won the Super Bowl. And, and then, hey man, I feel like Trey Lance is going to revitalize a new dynasty. That's my true belief. And I believe it. I truly hold on to that faith. I'm like, hey, if that's what my spirit is saying, I'm gonna roll with it. I'm gonna have confidence in it. Whether people call me a homer or not. And then I always wanted a Jerry Rice rookie card. Was never able to get it when I was a kid, so I redeemed it with 3 Trey Lance rookie cards right there. They're not very expensive, but it means something to me.
No, that's awesome. There you go. Trey Lance. it's his time. I really believe it's going to be his time in 2022. And if everything goes according to plan for the 49ers, there's going to be a new generation that's going to have a new quarterback to look up to and buy jerseys for and all those types of things. And we'll see how it turns out here in 2022. Like I said, I appreciate you coming on, Rich. I really do. Everybody, if you're not already subscribed to Rich's channel, jump over there. It's right there in his description on his name right there, Keltz Chronicles. You can find that if you just do a quick search here on YouTube. While you're here, before you jump over to do that, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're already subscribed, hit the little bell notification so you know when I go live. And then last but not least, get yourself over to 49ers.pressdemocrat.com. The Santa Rosa Press Democrat, that's who I write for. And had a couple of articles go up yesterday. I told everybody today in an article where I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be playing football in 2022. So go head out over there, check it out. And just thanks so much for everybody taking the time. I will be back tomorrow night at 5:30 with Jesse Naylor on our normal Thursday night show for the Hammer and Nails show. It's going to be a good one. Hopefully Jesse's still talking to me after me being a jerk yesterday on Twitter. So have a great day, everybody. Have a great night. Talk to you soon. Thank you.